So you're thinking of moving to Australia, are you?
Well, I'm telling you now, with this weather,
It might not be the best idea. Now obviously that's a joke, because if you don't like cloudy weather, then it does happen in Australia sometimes, unfortunately. G'day guys, my name's Ross and I moved with my family to Australia during a global pandemic. And as a former Brit who's made the move, I can tell you there are just some things that you don't realise about Australia until you move here. From the weather and the fact that it isn't sunny here all the time, to the wildlife and everything in between, I'm here to share everything that we've learned from our own personal mistakes. Moving to the other side of the world isn't easy, so go and grab a cold one, that's Aussie for beer, and let's dive in. I mean, not literally, although there are some people over there that are swimming. Looks bloody cold. So welcome to the land of sunshine, maybe not today, and unfortunately, a pretty high cost of living. I know, it can be pretty shocking when you see the cost of groceries, rent, utilities, and just wait until you try and buy something out of season, or just when the petrol prices just randomly shoot up. Except chicken. That stuff pretty much never changes in price. Good old dependable chickens. But fear not, my friend, there's a few things that you can do to navigate the cost of living crisis and keep some of that extra cash in your pocket. Don't we all love a bit of extra cash? First things first, do your research. Before you commit to renting or buying a home, make sure you don't get ripped off. Unless you're talking about your home loan lender and you're concerned about rate hikes. Sorry, but it seems like you've got nothing you can do about that. Check out different suburbs, compare prices, and don't be afraid to be flexible on how you need to live when you first start to settle in. Also, try to shop around for your groceries and other essentials. I know there's only about 3 different supermarkets, but they can wildly vary in price. So it pays to shop smart. And go to your markets as well to find some excellent deals. You can also support your local community. And you don't need to spend money all of the time to have fun when you have beautiful weather like this. I think there's a storm coming. In a land with more sunshine days than you can shake a stick at. Where's my stick? I need to bring the sun back. Come back, son. There's plenty of free things that you can do with your family and friends. Just don't shake a stick at the sun, because when it is out, that'll do literally nothing to protect you from it. Probably better off with some slip, slop, slap. With a little bit of planning and some sun-smart decision making, you'll be living the Aussie dream in no time. Just dream of better weather than today, please. Now let's talk about the Australian Medicare health system, shall we? Medicare is a government-funded health insurance program that provides access to medical services and treatments for eligible Australian residents. Sounds wonderful. But as a new migrant, you need to check that you're eligible for Medicare. Permanent residents and some temporary visa holders can access Medicare, but others might need to take out private medical insurance to cover healthcare costs. You'll probably know if this is you because you'll have that condition on your visa, so no surprises there. Now, one of the great things about Medicare is bulk billing, and bulk billing means that the doctor bills Medicare directly, and you don't have to pay anything out of your pocket. A bit like the NHS in the UK, but they didn't call it bulk billing. They didn't call it anything really, it was just free. However, in Australia, not every doctor provides bulk billing, and for some people it can be tricky finding a bulk billing doctor nowadays. So it's always good to do some research, I mean Google, and see if you can find a bulk billing doctor near you, or just look out for the big bulk billing signs, because they normally advertise them pretty well. For some people, bulk billing doctors seem to be as rare as a koala in the city, but seriously, don't expect to see all kinds of wildlife just hopping around heavily urbanised city centres, unless you want to see a bin chicken. If you can't find a bulk billing doctor, don't worry. You can still see a doctor, you just might have to pay a fee. The good news is that Medicare will still cover most of the costs. It's just not as good as being free. If you're not eligible for Medicare and you have to take out private health insurance, then make sure you shop around, because like most places in the world, it pays to compare prices. And let's try and get out of this wind. I don't think this is much more sheltered, really. Oh, this might be a bit better. Now, you're in for a treat when it comes to our climate, just not today. It's not always hot. Clearly. We've got a varied climate, from tropical in the north to an arid interior and cooler in the south. You were all thinking it would be sunshine and beaches, right? Well, I guess there's kind of a beach over there, but it's not really sunshining. And also not exactly, because there's a great big sandy desert in the middle of Australia too. Yeah, and it's called the Great Sandy Desert. But you'll need to pack more than just shorts and flip-flops, or thongs, because we have a winter here too, and it can get pretty chilly at night, especially in the southern states, or when there's a breeze. You'll definitely need some warm winter clothes to get you through those cold, chilly months. And don't forget a decent jacket for those rainy days, or windy days. Oh, and sunscreen. Lots of sunscreen. Our sun's a little bit stronger down here, and you don't want to end up signposting to everyone that you're fresh off the boat by turning up looking like a lobster. So what can you do about our varied climate? First and foremost, be prepared. If you're moving to the north, be prepared for some seriously hot and humid weather, like more north from here. It's the kind of weather where you want to spend most of the time in the shade or in the air conditioning. If more down south, invest in some quality winter clothes, or just bring the ones that you've already probably got, like I didn't. Still all in my in-laws' garage. And finally, embrace it, even the lovely weather we have now. Our varied climate is what makes Australia such a beautiful and wonderful place to live. Whether you're soaking up the sun on a beach or snuggling in front of a fire, there's something for everyone, even those that like windy, cloudy days like today. Yeah, I couldn't find anywhere out of the wind, but as you may have noticed, apart from the weather, we don't really have a tipping culture here. And it's not because we're stingy or rude. If Australians want to be rude, they'll just be rude to your face. And they'll do that for free, either because it's funny or perhaps they actually like you. But it's because our wages and our working conditions are actually quite fair. I know. Shock horror. So when you're out and about, don't feel pressured to leave a tip. Your server isn't going to need your money to survive. It's not expected. Remember those secretive urban animals?
There's one right there. Go on, you bin chicken. Go on.
I heard somewhere they're trying to make it the Brisbane Olympic symbol. Now, if you're a new migrant to Australia who is used to tipping, I get it. It's hard to shake off old habits, like being a whinging pom. You might even be surprised that you don't have to calculate sales tax. It's all in the price, because that's the sensible thing to do. But let me reassure you, tipping isn't necessary here. If you feel like leaving a little bit extra for an exceptional service, then go for it. Make someone's day. But please, don't feel obligated to do so. And don't feel too bad if whoever is serving you isn't putting on the fake friend attitude, just because they want your tip.
Hello, how are you today?
In fact, by not tipping, you're actually supporting fair wages for workers. Tipping can create an environment where workers actually rely on tips to survive. Imagine that. The whole thing just isn't sustainable. Just pay people a decent wage. So welcome to Australia. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your meal or service. Have a great day. Now, as a new migrant to Australia, you may have noticed that the weather and public holidays can throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. Whether it's Christmas, Easter, or even a day dedicated to watching horses race around a track, these days can sometimes bring a little bit of disruption to your daily routine. First things first, it's important to remember that on public holidays, many businesses either close or have reduced opening hours. So if you need to get something done, make sure you plan in advance and check the opening hours. Remember, your piss poor planning is a you problem. It's not the other person's responsibility. Don't be so entitled. Another thing to keep in mind is that some businesses might have a surcharge on public holidays. I say some, I've never seen one that doesn't. Does Macca's have one? Now I know this may come as a shock to you, because it did to me the first time the price wasn't the price. It was like buying something in America. But let me explain. On public holidays, many businesses are required to pay their staff penalty rates. So if you see a surcharge, don't be too upset. It's just the cost of doing business on that day. And if you don't like it, don't buy anything on a public holiday. Your choice, champ. And speaking of staff, let's not forget that they deserve some recognition too. Working on a public holiday can be tough, especially when everyone else is out enjoying their day off. How would you feel if all your mates were enjoying some free time when you were just at work? So if you do happen to visit a business on a public holiday, make sure to show your appreciation for the people that are working. Or not, but at least they're getting paid for it. And remember, while it may seem like a hassle at some times, public holidays are an important part of Australian culture. It gives us a chance to relax and unwind and just enjoy our lives. God, I love this country. Now, as a new resident to Australia, you might be shocked to learn that banks here charge for pretty much everything. But there's not really a lot that you can do about it. First things first, let's talk about bank account fees. Many banks in Australia charge monthly account fees, as well as fees to withdraw your money from an ATM, but normally only if it's not one of their machines, which is basically every machine unless it's in their bank. I guess you could just ask for cash back when you go to the supermarket. But sure, you're wondering, who actually uses cash anymore? Why do you even need to withdraw your own money? Well, some shops or service providers may charge you a small fee just for using your card, somewhere in the region of 0.5 to 1.5%. It's enough to make you want to stash your cash under the mattress. But fear not, there are still a few banks out there that offer fee-free accounts, like NAB. I don't have a NAB bank account. And there might not be a charge on your card at some shops, like Aldi, as long as you press the right number. I think it's 2, or it could be 3, I'm not sure. For example, if you want to just tap your card on the machine like you normally would at Aldi, they're going to charge you a surcharge. But if you want to be a peasant and actually put your card in and type the PIN number, as long as you press the right button, I think it's 2, then they won't charge you anything at all. God knows how much money I've given to Aldi just for the privilege of tapping my card. Thanks, Aldi. Why don't the shops just factor in the charge into the cost, and wouldn't it all be simpler? So if you're thinking of moving to Australia, then you're in luck, because there are several visa options available to you. But let me tell you one thing, the process of moving to Australia and getting visas isn't really a simple and easy one. Otherwise, everyone will be wanting to move here. I mean, not necessarily today. The weather is a bit normal? Like, this is pretty much standard UK weather. Probably even a good day. Sorry to burst your bubble about visas, but I guess it's better to set your expectations early. First up, do you want a skilled independent visa to grant you permanent residency? But that's based on points. How do you even know how many points you're eligible for? Or there's the employer-sponsored visas or temporary visas. But what if I can't get the visa in time, or will I lose the job opportunity? What visa can I go for if I've got a criminal record? Like, don't worry, not a bad one. Or I don't have enough experience, or I'm worried about getting it wrong and then they just revoke my visa and I don't get my money back. Because that's what happens if your visa gets cancelled. Or what if I'm too old? What even is too old? Well, if the visa application process feels a little bit too overwhelming or confusing, especially if you're not familiar with the legal jargon, or like me, you're too lazy, then you need to speak to our friends at True Blue Migration Services. They're one of Australia's oldest and most trusted group of MARA registered agents. They've got hundreds of positive reviews on Google, and I know personally loads of people who we've helped out on this channel by suggesting they go through True Blue Migration Services. Let them tell you for free what your best options are for moving to this beautiful country. And when there's no obligation, what's the worst that can happen? You might as well just find out. Contact them today by using our link down in the description. And if you want to see what your new life in Australia could look like by perving on our life, you pervert, then watch this video. But not if you like beaches. Who doesn't like beaches? Weirdo. Sorry if I offended any weirdos who don't like beaches.